Hello, I'm Beth Joey and welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you're new here, welcome. This is the channel where I paint my face, turn my camera on and talk about some books. I have so many books on my TBR, books that I need to read this month and in the coming months, and I have no idea where to start. Hence this vlog idea of reading whatever the spinning wheel gives me. Plus, I'm going to an author event tonight for Rebecca Yarros for Fourth Wing, and I really wanted to include that in a vlog somehow. So I was thinking this morning, what vlog do I not have to do any preparation for other than, you know, maybe something small and can just start now? And that's this. So that's the idea, that's the vlog idea, that's what we're gonna be doing in this vlog. Let's get straight into our first spin of figuring out what the hell I'm gonna be reading first. Sitting on my couch here, we've got my wheel of TBR. So let's hold this bottom bit down. Here's the little ticker thing that'll tell us where we are. There we go, you can see that a bit better. So let's give this a spin. And the book we're going to be reading first is In the Seen Hands of Others. Now, I know it's probably not fair to say it's not a book I'm excited for, but out of all the books that were on that spinny wheel thing, this was definitely not top priority, partly because it's on my 26 before 26 or my 23 must reads for 2023, something like that, one of those lists. So it's not in any way, shape or form an actual priority read that I need to get to ASAP, but here we go, In the Seen Hands of Others by Nat Ogle. This is a book that I went shopping with my mum once in London right before she moved back to Australia, and she picked this up and was like, this kind of sounds like up your alley. It's like crime and stuff. So she was like, you should get this, you should read this. I was like, okay, why the hell not? So as for what this is about, let's read the blurb together because I don't really remember because I bought it so long ago. There are definitely major trigger warnings for this story, that much I do remember. So before I read the blurb to you, maybe pause this video, do a bit of research about this book before continuing on, and maybe look into whether or not this is something you want to hear about. But let's read the blurb. It says, you are about to enter a novel formed of documents and evidence. Here is the blog of a nurse on a dialysis ward attempting to live in the aftermath of bringing a rape trial to court in which the defendant was exonerated. Here are the transcripts of the police interviews with her and the accused, the emails and texts between them submitted for trial, his journal, his conversations on 4chan, his drama scripts, him. How will the nurse Karina ever get him out of her head? This highly original debut novel combines the investigatory pleasures of a legal drama with a provocative and literary exploration of the limits of empathy. It is blackly funny and heartbreaking and announces a new voice unlike any other. That sounds like it's gonna be sort of mixed media. It sounds like it's gonna be very intense. It sounds like it's gonna be a nurse trying to find her way out of a case in which she was heavily involved. It sounds like it's going to have severely affected her in some way. So yeah, I'm intrigued by the blurb. I'm a little terrified, but I'm intrigued. Let's crack straight into this first book. It's just before I start work, so I'm gonna need to log on in a second, but I'm gonna read this throughout the day on my lunch break and such, and then on my way to the author event to see Rebecca Yarros, the author of Fourth Wing, which I am so excited about. Anyway, I'm super excited for that event tonight. I cannot wait to hear her talk about Fourth Wing, her inspiration, how the whole book came to be. I'm obviously not gonna be able to take any clips of the event, but I'll try and take clips before the event so you can like see Rebecca Yarros on stage, and I'll try and get my book signed and everything like that. So yeah, I'm really keen for this one. And I'm so glad I got tickets before it was announced by Waterstones, because I feel like those tickets would have sold out really fast. This is going to be a busy event. I'm going to try and get there a little bit early as well so I can get a seat at the front, but we shall see. Anyway, I need to get into work. I need to start reading this book, so I'm going to do all of that, and I will update you when I have some things to say about In the Seen Hands of Others by Nat Ogle. Just jumping in with a very speedy update because I'm going to be heading out in the next like hour or so, I think, in order to get to this event. What's the time? Yeah, I'm gonna be leaving home in about an hour, and I haven't had a ton of reading time today because I worked straight through my lunch break. It's been a manic day because we've got an event for a client tomorrow that is definitely taking up a lot of my time, so didn't manage to take a lunch break, but I did get a little bit of reading done before I started work this morning, and I am now about 63 pages into In the Seen Hands of Others, and wow, in this lighting this cover looks really vibrant. Actually, I really like the color combination. But anyway, I'm 64 pages into this book, and it's brutal. It doesn't shy away from the topics that it's dealing with. It doesn't shy away from discussing what happened. It doesn't shy away from sort of like witness testimonies, I guess, of what happened, both from the perspective of the woman who is the focus of this story, the victim, and then from the perspective of the perpetrator as well, the male who's involved in this case. And it seems to be a very interesting dynamic because there seems to have been a relationship between the two of them in the past. They used to be dating, and then the girl invited the guy over when she was drunk and out at a party with her friends, and that's when everything kind of went down. So it doesn't really shy away from going into detail about that, but it's also going into detail in this sort of blog-like style, I guess, of the main character's life generally, other aspects of her life, the fact that her mother is very, very sick. There's, again, please check out the trigger warnings because there is a lot that this book delves into. There's a lot that this book deals with. All in all, it's a really interesting book so far. It's very, very hard hitting. It's not a book that I want to really go into massive detail in terms of the elements of the plot because that's going to be very triggering for some people, myself included. And yeah, so that's kind of this book at the moment. That's where I'm at. I am going to be heading off, like I said, in an hour to go and see Samantha Shannon in conversation with Rebecca Yarros. So that's the author of The Prior of the Orange Tree and The Bone Season and Everything. Samantha Shannon, which is she's an absolute powerhouse in herself, talking to Rebecca Yarros, who is obviously someone who has been massively hyped up on everything lately following the release of Fourth Wing. So I'm just beyond excited for that event. I've got my question in my mind of what I want to ask her in the Q&A portion of the evening, and I've got my books and everything, so I'm going to get Fourth Wing and the rest of the Bone Season signed because I got the first book in the series, The Bone Season, signed by Samantha Shannon when I saw her in conversation with L.R. Lamb following the release of L.R. Lamb's book Dragonfall. So now, and then I read that book and loved it, so now I've got the rest of the books in that series, and hopefully she won't mind signing 3 books for me on that front, as well as obviously Rebecca Yarros signing Fourth Wing. So yeah, I'm really just beyond excited for this event. I'm so keen to hear about how Fourth Wing came to be and everything like that. So I'll try and get some B-roll for you of the venue and, if I can, a little bit of her talking, but I'm gonna try and not do that because I don't want to spoil that for people who might be seeing her live, and I don't want to kind of ruin it for myself as well by like focusing on recording things. So anyway, that's the plan. I'm just finishing up my work for the day, then I will be heading straight out. It is the most, I mean, you've got to see this. It is the most dreary, horrible day in London right now. You can't really tell, but like it is gray and gloomy. It's been raining, so you can see it's like really wet and everything out there, and it's not nice. So that's the sort of day, I guess, that we're dealing with. But hey ho, amazing author event, and it's indoors. It's gonna be cool. I'll take you along with me. Let's go.
So I was just wondering, like, what was the decision behind that, and like, was there a specific intention you had behind making that choice?
Yes, I hear a lot about that.
Morning. I am looking a little bedraggled right now. Of course, right this moment something is like in my eye and I'm blinking furiously, and as you can see this whole space behind me is a bit of a mess, and that's because Ben and I have a cleaner arriving today to help clean up our flat, to give it a bit of a mop and a sweep and a dust and everything, because it's totally gotten away with us, and so we just kind of want a fresh start. That means that we need to get everything off the floors, and this is our big pile of washing that we need to get done, which is going to happen once the cleaner has left, and it'll be a very, very admin heavy day today. But anyway, I think last you guys saw me, it was like Monday or Tuesday of this week, and I was reading In the Sea and Hands of Others by Nat Ogle. I then had the most hectic rest of my week. We had a big client event on Wednesday morning, which meant a 4:30 a.m. start and like a 7 to 8 p.m. finish. I had an author event, obviously, Tuesday night, which ended up getting massively disrupted by the fact that our client was not particularly organized with getting all the information that we needed. So I was like on my phone in the corner while Rebecca Yarros was speaking, and I was missing really important key parts of that author event, which was really sad because I was so excited to see this author. But at the end of the day, it was still an incredible event. I saw Rebecca Yarros obviously and Samantha Shannon. I got all my books signed that I wanted to get signed, and it's just made me want to reread Fourth Wing again, hearing her talk about it and hearing her talk about how she went from being a contemporary romance author to like jumping into fantasy, and how she's really bled some of those lessons she's learned from contemporary romance into fantasy, and how, you know, enemies to lovers doesn't work in contemporary but it really works in fantasy, and like all these sorts of things. It was just such a fascinating discussion. But anyway, it was a hectic rest of my week. I ended up putting down In the Sea and Hands of Others by Nat Ogle because honestly, the book just got kind of pretentious. It got irritating. It got confusing. There were two sort of key characters in the story. There was like the brother of the perpetrator who'd obviously victimized the main character of this story, and then there was the actual perpetrator, and they're brothers and they have very similar names. Like I think it's Sam and Cam, which meant it got really, really confusing trying to figure out who was actually the bad guy, whose perspective I was in, where the other brother was. Like it was just throwing me out, and honestly it just felt really pretentiously written. I also didn't like that a sort of young white male author was writing about the experience of a woman of color. I didn't think it was the most authentic writing. I think there were a lot of stereotypes that were falling into. I ended up putting it down because I'm not particularly interested in continuing with that book anymore. Anyway, I then did another spin, as I think you'll have already seen on my spinning wheel, because obviously that's the whole point of this vlog, to let the spinning wheel choose my TBR, and I landed on The Bridge Kingdom by Danielle L. Jensen. This is technically a reread, but it's a reread with the purpose of going into the rest of the series, and it's also a reread with the purpose of annotating this book. So I have been highlighting things, I've been underlining things, I've been writing little comments. I mean, it's not by any means annotated in like a way that is academic or critical in any way. It's literally me just like highlighting a passage and then just saying like what, or like well damn, or something like that. It's literally my reactions to the scenes. But yeah, I'm really enjoying this reread at the moment. I'm having a lot of fun. We've just met the sort of other king, the other kingdom that takes place, the king of the Bridge Kingdom, King Aaron. We've definitely been introduced to Lara and the stakes at play in her sort of infiltration of the Bridge Kingdom, as well as her very, very tumultuous relationship, and abusive, frankly, relationship with her father and his advisors, her relationship with her sisters. We're definitely being given a crash course in the kind of person she is. So I think it's very much positioning her as she's a really good person stuck in a really shitty circumstance. But as for what this is about, I'm going to read you the blurb, and it says, raised as a warrior, Princess Lara knows two things. King Aaron of the Bridge Kingdom is her enemy, and that she must be the one to bring him to his knees. The Bridge Kingdom is the only route through a storm-ravaged world, and it uses its powers to deprive its enemies, including Lara's homeland. When she's sent to be King Aaron's bride, Lara will do whatever it takes to bring down the kingdom's defenses, even if it means seducing her new husband. Yet as she learns more about the war to possess the bridge, Lara's feelings for Aaron transform from hostility to passion, and she faces a terrible dilemma: which kingdom to save and which to destroy. Basically 28 pages into this book so far. I'm really loving it. Gonna keep reading. My plan for today is definitely to smash out a chunk of this and get this finished today so that I can start a new book tomorrow. My tabs and everything for annotating this properly are arriving today, so I should be able to go back through and just quickly put in little tabs for everything I've annotated so far. Anyway, that's what I'm reading at the moment. We also have this, which is a package that I've received, and it's huge, and I know what it is, and I'm so excited. So firstly, before I get into that, I received this in the mail today from Vinted, which is Queen of Shadows. It's the hardback version. I picked this up from a seller on Vinted. I also picked up, as I think you may have seen in a fairly recent vlog, Throne of Glass and the Assassin's Blade. So they are over there. So you can probably guess what is in this big old parcel. Now that I've got this one, I've got those other two. So taking out all of this packaging, of which there is an excessive amount for these books, but anyway, we'll ignore that. We have got bubble wrapped in here. We've got Crown of Midnight and Empire of Storms, I think? No, it's not that one. Crown of Midnight and, oh, Tower of Dawn. And we've got this little parcel, which is another two. So let's find out what these are. We've got Heir of Fire and Empire of Storms. And then lastly, we've got this, which has one book in it and it's huge, which tells me it's Kingdom of Ash. Yep, Kingdom of Ash. So now officially, I have all of Sarah J Maas's books in the sort of Crescent City, Throne of Glass and ACOTAR worlds. I'm very, very excited to have the hardbacks of these because I'm actually starting a project soon where I'm going to reread everything written by Sarah J Maas in those worlds in publication order, and I'm going to annotate the living shit out of all of it, hence why I bought these tabs as well. So yeah, it's really, really good to finally have the physical copies of these and read them, enjoy them properly, write in them, litter them with pencil markings and highlighters and tabs and everything like that, and actually properly feel sort of involved and immersed in the experience of reading these books. So yeah, that is the haul. As for right now, I am going to make myself some coffee and I'm going to get to reading because I have got a lot of reading to get done today. You may have seen like one or two clips of me at Waterstones, and as you can see, I'm not there anymore now. I have come home to keep reading The Bridge Kingdom. I started annotating it while I was at Waterstones, and oh my god, I'm having so much fun annotating books. This isn't something I've ever done before, and it's just making the whole reading experience so much more immersive. Sorry, I'll stop opening the book because it's making my camera go all out of focus. But I was having such a peaceful, lovely time in Waterstones, and then I was really, really quickly reminded of why I don't want to have kids. Because basically there was this kid and his mum sitting next to me, super lovely, being super, super quiet, and then the mum goes off to like browse or something, I don't know, she leaves. And so the kid, bored, I assume, because his mum's no longer there, decides to get out his phone. Fine, go for it, kid. Entertain yourself on your phone. And then play some kind of TV show on full volume, no headphones. And I'm the sort of person where like, if it's not like quiet or like ambient noise in the background, if there's like a full-on something else playing, I can't read. It's so distracting. And I couldn't focus on my book because I was just listening to the dialogue of this bloody show this kid is playing, and it was so frustrating. And so I put my headphones in and I start playing like forest sounds and everything, and I turn that volume right up because I want to block out the sound of this kid's TV show. And then all of a sudden, this group of what I can only assume were like students on some kind of trip or I don't know, like school outing, I'm not sure. They come into Waterstones and they go on a rampage. They start taking books off shelves. They start like running around the cafe. You can tell the staff are like, what the fuck is going on? I saw these kids go into the fantasy section, and maybe this is like a minor thing, but I got really pissed off. I saw these kids going into the fantasy section, removing books from the shelves and putting them on the shelves in like the crime section. I'm like, what is the purpose of that? Why are you doing that? That's just irritating. Like that's not funny. That's not like gonna ruin anyone's life. It's just irritating. And I was just watching these kids like, who raised you to think that like that was like an okay thing to do? Like, you're out on the weekend, fine, have fun, but like don't come into a Waterstones and ruin the experience for everybody else. So people start like evacuating the cafe because nobody wants to be there when these kids are there. And you just felt so bad for the staff, because I don't know how many books these kids ended up moving in total, but you know that those staff are gonna have to go through and find all of the books that these kids moved and reshelve them at some point. And that could, like, if I worked at Waterstones, that would ruin my day. I would be like, screw this. And I'd like call in sick the next day, or I'd like call in sick for the rest of the day because I'd be like, nah, I don't want to deal with this. But anyway, that's why I left Waterstones. And then I decided I was going to go to Macca's and get myself some lunch. But no, they were on a rampage in there too. There was like 200 kids. And they were throwing food around. They were leaving crap all over the floor. They were getting their rubbish from what they finished eating and just chucking it on the ground for the staff to deal with. And you can see the staff behind the counter, the staff in the store, like freaking out, like, I don't know what the hell to do. Because if I clean up, they're just going to throw more stuff. And they're like harassing the staff. Like, these children are harassing the staff. And I'm just like, oh, screw this. I'm going home. So I went home, because I wasn't about to deal with all of that crap. So I'm home now. I'm going to continue reading my book here, which, by the way, really enjoying it. Annotating it has been an experience because I've got, I think, 5 colors of tabs to work with, but way more than 5 emotions in this book. So yeah, it's been interesting. Like, for example, I think the green tab represents funny, surprising, and sad all at once. As you can see, there aren't many green tabs in here. Well, no, you can't see, but there aren't many green tabs in here, trust me. I haven't seen a lot of funny, surprising, or sad moments, but what there is a ton of since my last update is pink, which is love slash sexy slash romantic slash relationship building. Like, that's all pink, and I'm loving how many times I've had to put a pink sticky note in. But anyway, I'm going to continue reading, and I will let you know my thoughts in a bit. I just wanted to come here and rant. It is Sunday morning, just hopped out of the shower, put some makeup on, got ready. You can probably tell because my hair is still wet and very flat. We're feeling very flat today, but you know what? Who cares? I'm coming in here quickly to say that I finished The Bridge Kingdom last night. Absolutely love this. The first time I read it, I think I gave it 4 stars. This time I gave it 5 stars because I think when I read it the first time, I sort of misjudged it, and I like let my prejudice, I guess, for books that are on Kindle Unlimited kind of get in the way of actually properly rating the story. Sorry, that's my washing machine going in the background. Whereas this time I was like, you know what? I'm not going to be a dick. I'm not going to be prejudiced. I'm just going to rate this based on what I think it deserves based on my own experience, my own enjoyment of it. And that is 5 stars. I mean, I love the 2 main characters in this book. I love their growth throughout the book. I love that both of them, after having experiences with kingdoms and people that they traditionally viewed as violent or horrible or, you know, villainous, they were still willing to open their minds up following different experiences through each other. I loved their romance. I thought it was so well developed. I thought it was so slow burn, but also with enough like satisfying little moments where they slowly made headway with each other in terms of trust and love and lust and everything, that it kept me hooked. Whereas I know like slow burn, sometimes I'm like flicking through the pages to try and figure out when they're finally gonna get together. This didn't happen with this one, which really surprised me because it always happens. I'm always just want the relationship to happen, but obviously love the burn. And then that sort of tension breaking moment was just everything. I thought it was incredible. There was so much like adventure and action littered throughout the story, but it wasn't to the point where you'd have pages and pages and pages of it. It was like short little battle scenes or short little like life endangering moments that would get resolved very quickly, but when you're in the moment with them, it's like traumatizing because you're so scared. And I was so scared for these characters. I thought the side characters were amazing. I loved the sort of family element that was introduced with the people in Ithacana, where Lara really got to see what an actual functioning proper family was like, and Aaron got to see and I guess get to know her a little bit better by the fact that she was so surprised to see them all cohabitating and bonding and everything really, really well. So he got to know that the life that she had was obviously really negative. I really, really enjoyed annotating this book. As you can see, there are tons and tons of tabs tabs littered throughout. I've got bits underlined, I've got bits highlighted. I actually ran out of tabs towards the end and started to have to rip up like little sticky notes and use them as tabs, and then like a little detail on the tab to say like why I was tabbing it. But yeah, it just made it so much more of an immersive experience because I was like experiencing it and putting in my reactions alongside the readers, and it made me feel more invested and more involved in the story. So that was a really, really fun experience. As for the world, while I still really struggle to picture the bridge and everything associated with it, with like the bits where you can climb up the top and the secret panels and it seems to be covered but then also exposed to the air, like I still struggle to really picture that, but I got enough of the ominous and the domineering like vibes from it, I think, to have the experience as if I was picturing it. And then a lot of the other scenes where they're in the small towns, they were so vivid, and I loved how the language was used to make those small towns and the bridge and everything feel so poetic and beautiful, whereas the language used to describe Maradrina was a lot harsher. So it really was like that subliminal messaging that where Lara was now was so much better than where she used to be. And very, very lastly, I think the twist at the ending, I kind of saw it coming once the threads started to be bled in, once there were like little hints that something wasn't quite right. But up until that point, I did not expect it to end that way, and that means I'm so excited to see how that develops going into the next book. I'm so excited to see those elements that we thought were kind of finished, I guess, at the beginning of the book come into play in the second book, and hopefully some new bonds formed and everything. Just moving in here because Ben just got home from the shops, so just wanted to stay out of the way while he's cleaning up the lounge because he's got some friends coming over. So yeah, back in here. I can't remember what I was saying about the Ridge Kingdom other than gave it 5 stars, really loved it, thought it was amazing. And now the next book that I'm going to be picking up, which you might have seen because I did my spinning wheel thing, is The Drowned Woods by Emily Lloyd Jones. This is, I think, the Illumicrate edition of this book, and oh my god, you would not believe, like, just, okay, sprayed edges, gorgeous, love those. Obviously cover, love that too. I love the design on the hardback, like the foiling on here, but most of all, if I can actually open the damn thing, that is gorgeous. The reverse of the dust jacket, like, sorry if that's like shiny, you can't see it, but that is so intricately beautiful and I'm obsessed with it. So yeah, I started reading this officially last night and I am 26 pages into the book, but let's talk about what it's about using the blurb thing. And that says, once upon a time, the kingdoms of Wales were rife with magic and conflict. An 18-year-old Mererid Mare is well acquainted with both. As the last living water diviner, she can manipulate water with magic, a unique elemental power many would kill to possess. For years, Mare has been running from the prince who bound her into his service and forced her to kill thousands with her magic. Now, all Mare truly wants is a safe, quiet life far from power and politics. But then Mare's old handler, the king's spymaster, returns with a proposition: use her powers to bring down the very prince that abused them both. With the help of a fake-cursed man, a snarky thief, and a corgi that may or may not be a spy, Mare must decide if she's prepared to run for the rest of her life or to stand and fight for her freedom and peace. And I think this is a standalone as well, which I love because I've got way too many series on the go at the moment, so this will be all wrapped up in the one book. Gotta say, like, 26 pages in, it's jumping straight in. The Spymaster has already appeared. I will say we're not getting a lot of the backstory, at least from the start of the book, about what her life's been like since she left the prince or since she escaped. But yeah, it's jumping straight into the action, which I really enjoy. I'm annotating this one as well, but because I'm not sure if I'm gonna love it, so I'm not sure if I'm then gonna sell it on, it's more a case of like sticky notes with like writing on them rather than making markings inside the actual book. But yeah, that's this one at the moment. I'm really enjoying it. I'm obsessed with this blue on the back, and yeah, I will give you my full thoughts in a bit once I've read a bit more and have some things to say. But it's a pretty quick book. I think it's like 340 something pages, just like the previous one, so it should be a pretty quick turnaround. So yeah, that's what I'm reading at the moment, and hopefully we'll get one more book into this vlog before we wrap it up at the end of this weekend. Hey, just jumping in here very quickly to close out this vlog, just lying on an air mattress in the lounge at the moment because Ben's out at a festival with some friends and there's a chance that some of them might come back with him. So we've prepped the usual air mattresses and everything so they can sleep comfortably. But yeah, before they get home, I just wanted to close out the vlog to say I finished The Drowned Woods. I gave it 2 stars. I didn't really enjoy the book. I think it was just really lackluster. I think I've never really noticed like third person writing before, but ever since I've heard more and more people talk about how it, you know, makes you feel really disconnected and everything, I'm beginning to really notice it a lot more. Like the books where I feel disconnected from the characters tend to be books that are written in third person, and I just never put that reason behind it before, but now I kind of think, well, actually maybe that's the case because I'm not in anyone's head, I'm not experiencing anything with them. I feel like I'm external to everything that's happening. So yeah, I think that like lack of connection to the characters really had a big impact, and also the fact that, you know, because this is a heist plot line, I think that really, really works in books like Six of Crows, where you get really attached to the characters and they create this found family element, and there's time spent building those relationships, and it's just, you know, the heist, the setup of the heist is balanced, like the logistical side, I guess, is balanced with like those cute bantery moments, those family moments, like all that sort of stuff, you know, all the different people and all the different relationships trying to figure out where they stand and everything. That just didn't happen in this book. So you had all the logistics of the heist and all like the boring stuff, I guess, but none of the fun, none of the cute moments, none of the family, nothing, like all the relationships that were explored in this story, most of them I think were formed prior to the events of the book. So there wasn't, so the reader is obviously supposed to like know that these people had a relationship before the start of the book, so you're not spending time, you know, working with those people and building that relationship. And then the one like new relationship that there was, I mean, it was cute and I liked it, but I didn't feel connected to it because there wasn't enough time like building it, I think. There was also the inclusion of a corgi in the book, and I have no idea what the point of it was other than to have a cute dog in a book. The corgi seemed to sneeze every time it sensed magic, which I guess was useful in some ways because it made other characters aware of each other's abilities when like nothing had been verbally said about anything. But like, other than that, I was like, why is this corgi in this book? Like, it's adorable, don't get me wrong, but like, why? And then I think it was kind of supposed to be like, that question was supposed to be resolved at the end when one of the characters is like, oh, you know, only one of you actually bent down to say hello to my dog, and so I would have chosen that person always. And I'm just like, but like, really? Is that why you're gonna choose someone? Like, is that why you're gonna go on the side of someone? Like, don't get me wrong, I have mad respect for anyone that like respects animals, especially dogs. I am a massive dog person. I'm like, you greet my dog before me, that's fine. I take no offense because, you know, that dog deserved all the respect that she could ever get. But in this situation, I'm kind of like, that's not the sole reason I would trust someone. Like, I don't immediately trust someone if they say hi to my dog. Like, that's just a bit strange. But anyway, so that was another thing. And then I think there was one other thing. Oh yeah, the ending. The ending of this book kind of defeated the whole purpose of this like sacrifice for the greater good plot line that was like, or subliminal messaging, I guess, that was running throughout the whole book. And then the sort of twist, I guess, was entirely predictable. Like, I predicted it way before it actually happened. So I was kind of like, okay, so why am I still reading this? Like, I got to the point where I think I was counting how many pages I had left to read. Like, I was calculating where I was at and how many pages I knew were in the book and figuring out how many pages I had left, which for me is just a massive sign of really low intrigue. So anyway, I'm gonna stop ranting. The writing was fine. It was a well-composed book. It just didn't catch my attention. And unfortunately, I don't think like heist stories are really for me anyway, because I don't really particularly care about the logistics of all that sort of stuff. My phone is now ringing. We'll ignore that. I'll answer that in a second. It's probably Ben just letting me know he's almost home. But anyway, that's the end of this vlog. Unfortunately, didn't end on the most positive note, but I hope you had fun watching as the color wheel picked my TBR. We read a few books. There were some good ones, there were not so good ones, and yeah, it was a fun experience. I think I should do this more often because it's a good way to just get through my TBR. Ben keeps calling me, so I've got to go. Let me know down below if you enjoyed this video, or if you've read any of the books that I read and what you thought of them, if you agree, disagree, all that kind of thing, or just let me know what you're reading at the moment, loving it, hating it. Come and chat to me in the comments down below. I love talking to you guys, and I do my best to reply to every single comment. I really, really hope that you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please do let me know by liking, subscribing, and hitting that notification bell all down below. It's a super, super easy way to help my channel grow, and I will see you lovely people in my next video. Bye guys.